The film begins with Terry Richmond, a former veteran, cycling down the road while listening to music, but he is run over by cops. Officer Evan Marston and his partner, Officer Steve Lan, handcuffed Terry, claiming they tried to pull him over but he fled. Terry claims he didn't hear him because of his earphones, but the cops don't play. They begin investigating Terry and question him personally about his identity. Officer Evans searches Terry's backpack and discovers a package. He asks Terry for permission to open the package, but Terry declines. They detain Terry and request that a K-9 search the package. Evan explains that the unit will take an hour to arrive, but Terry is in a hurry, so he lets them search. The officers discover a large amount of cash in the bag, leading them to suspect it is illegal drug money. Terry mentions that he needs his money, not drug money, to post his cousin's bail at the courthouse. Officer Steve mentions the nearly $30,000 in cash and inquires as to why Terry's cousin is in jail. Terry reveals that $10,000 is for bail, with the remainder going toward purchasing a truck and hauling boats. His cousin Mike was arrested for possession of marijuana, but he was not selling it. The officers decide to let him go, but they keep his money because they suspect it is drug money. Terry justifies himself by claiming that he obtained the funds by selling his car and investing in a restaurant called Can Long Chinese. Evan informs Terry that the money will be held in custody, and Terry will be able to retrieve it after 30 days if he completes the necessary paperwork. Otherwise, he will be imprisoned for a money laundering conspiracy. Terry complies forcefully, and they release him. Terry picks up his bike and rides to the courthouse as the cops approach. There, he meets Elliot, a court clerk. Terry tells Elliot to post his cousin's bail, and the cops confiscate all of his money. Elliot refuses because Terry does not have any money and reveals that the jail is being renovated, so all of the prisoners will be transferred to state prison. Elliot decides to leave because his shift has ended, but Terry is upset because his cousin is in trouble. Elliot introduces Terry to his co-worker Summer McBride, another court clerk who will soon be a lawyer, to assist him. Summer and Terry have a drink, and Summer reveals that the local police department uses devious legal methods to seize money from people. After the people fail to keep their money legally, the cops keep it for themselves, claiming it is for funds. Terry reveals that his cousin Mike helped catch some dangerous criminals by providing information, and if he is transferred to a state prison, he may be attacked by the inmates. Mike's transfer is on Thursday, so Summer advises Terry to get more money quickly for the bail so they can save Mike. They part ways, and Terry contacts Mr. Liu, the owner of the Chinese restaurant. Terry enters Mike's hospital room, but he does not survive. Terry now asks Summer for a lift back to his hometown. They are pursued by a cop, and Summer reveals that it is her contact in the police, a friend who is looking out for her. Summer tries to explain to Terry that there have been more cases like Mike's, and the police need to be exposed, but Terry is frustrated and ignores her. He gives Summer his emergency phone number and bids her farewell. Summer returns home and awakens in the middle of the night to find that someone has entered her home and drugged her. She realizes the cops are involved when she notices their car magnet on her refrigerator. She calls Terry, and Terry rushes to her house. He breaks in and discovers her in the shower, still alive. Summer reveals that she is fine because the cops injected her with a drug she previously used. She had a daughter but lost custody because of her drug history. She is concerned that while she has been granted permission to see her daughter for the time being, if she is tested tomorrow, she will lose custody for good. Terry assures her not to worry and sends Summer to her job. Surprisingly, the judge wants to meet with Summer and have her tested for drugs, indicating that he is cooperating with the police. Summer is terrified but cooperates. She gives her urine sample and sobs, knowing her fate. Terry, on the other hand, meets Officer Steve, who invites his partners to join him in blocking the street. Terry cooperates, but Steve shoots him for returning to town. Terry is injured, but fights back. He tases Steve with his gun and drives off into the fields. Terry now abandons his truck, walks to his Chinese hotel, and calls Summer, requesting burner phones. Summer arrives at the restaurant with the phones and discovers Terry injured, while Mr. Liu treats him. Terry and Summer intend to find evidence on the cops and bring them in. They go undercover and break into the judge's home. When they question the judge about the corruption among the cops, he reveals that he has been working with Sandy for quite some time. Sandy's department ran out of funds, so he brought in his own by illegally searching and processing the procedures through court, where the defendant had to fight for their money but lost every time. The judge was involved because he was also receiving money. and the state legalized it because some of the money would go to government funding. The cops would conduct traffic stops, which would be just as rough as Terry's at the beginning of the film. These searches were recorded on the cops' dash cams and could be used as evidence to expose the cops. Terry and Summer decide to steal the footage from the courthouse's catacombs. They enter the courthouse and discover that the cops are ahead of them. They start a fire to destroy the evidence room, but Summer extinguishes it. They quickly steal the memory cards and restart the fire to avoid suspicion. Terry walks out to the car and waits for Summer as she retrieves her urine sample. Unfortunately, she is apprehended by the officers. Terry waits for Summer outside and notices that the cops have kidnapped her. He follows them to a shady location where they split up and depart. One cop remains behind, so Terry drives into the cop's vehicle. He chokes the cop before handcuffing him for questioning. Terry uses his radio to communicate with Sandy. Sandy strikes a deal to trade Summer for the memory cards. Terry agrees, and Sandy instructs him to meet at Rebel Ridge by dawn. Sandy's men wait at Rebel Ridge until morning, but Terry does not show up. Meanwhile, Sandy receives a call from Terry, and Officer Evan believes he has located Terry's vehicle. Terry tells Sandy that there is no turning back. However, Officer Evan discovers that Terry was not in the car. Rather, Officer McGill was taped to the car by Terry. Terry is at the police station, where he rips the back wall of Sandy's department. Officer Jessica alerts the rest of the cops to Terry's location, so they return. Back at the station, greedy Sandy rushes for the money, while Terry loads weapons from the armory. He shoots Sandy with beanbag rounds rather than bullets. Jessica arrives, and Terry agrees because she is the friend Summer was referring to. Terry trusts Jessica with the memory cards and instructs her to release them. He confiscates Sandy's arsenal, but Sandy's men appear outside. Terry hands Jessica a loaded gun to cover his tracks and piles Sandy's money, intending to pour gasoline on it. Jessica confronts Terry and tells him she does not want any shooting, so she takes him outside. Officer Steve confronts Terry and stomps his memory cards. Steve reveals that he knocked Summer out so they can shoot him without witnesses. Officer Evan recognizes the error in their ways and steps up to protect Terry. They all point guns at each other, but Sandy shoots Evan's leg and confiscates his gun. Terry looks at Jessica, who lowers her gun, so he runs with Evan. He hides behind a car with Evan, throwing smoke grenades at them. Evan instructs him to turn on the car's dash cams, and the recordings will be available 3 minutes later. Terry shoots the cops one by one, but does not kill them. He comes across Steve and exacts his revenge for shooting him. He enters Steve's car, where Summer is lying, and activates the dash cams. He drives the car towards Evan and saves him. He drives them away from the station, but Steve holds onto the car. He tries to get into the back, but Summer pushes him away. Sandy and his men follow them on the road, as does Jessica. Jessica crashes Sandy's car, allowing Terry to flee. Terry drives to the hospital, where Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency ward. Terry rips out the camera storage drive from the car and keeps it for himself in order to expose Sandy, and the film ends there.
I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.